الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My dear sweet Islamic brothers, let's recite Durood Pak. As-salatu was-salamu alayki ya Rasulullah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. As-salatu was-salamu alayki ya Nabi Allah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nur Allah. Nawaitu sunnat al-i'tikaf. Allahumma aftah li abwab rahmatik. Excellence of reciting Durood and Salam, the Prophet of mankind, the peace of our hearts and mind, the most generous and kind, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam said, whoever recites Durood Sharif 1,000 times daily will not die until he sees his home in paradise. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Today I'm going to talk about death. One day Sayyidina Ibn Muti, rahamallahu ta'ala alayhi, saw his splendid house and became very happy, but then started to cry suddenly. He, rahamallahu ta'ala alayhi, said, "Oh beautiful home, if there were no death, I would be happy with you. If I were not to be buried in the narrow grave, I would be indulging myself in the beauties of this world." After saying this, he started to cry again. The angel of death. It is narrated that once the angel of death, Israel alayhi salam, came to take someone's soul. He asked, "Who are you?" The angel of death alayhi salam replied, "I am the one who cannot be stopped by the guards of the palace and who does not accept or take bribery." That person said, "Then you must be Israel alayhi salam. I haven't made preparation for death and the hereafter." He alayhi salam said, "O person, where is your so and so neighbor? Where is your so and so friend?" He replied, "They have died." He alayhi salam said, "Was there no lesson for you in their death, so that you would start preparation for death?" Having said this, the angel seized his soul. My dear Islamic brothers and viewers of social media, successful and wise is the one who sees other people dying and ponders over his death and starts preparation for the grave and the hereafter. O pious saints, rahamallahu ta'ala alayhi, said, "Fortunate is the one who gets the lesson from others' states." Pondering over death negligently will not prove to be beneficial, because we see many funerals and sometimes we even lay down the dead person into the grave, but we don't have the permanent effect. The best way to ponder about death is to sit alone and to purify the mind of all worldly thoughts. Try to picture the face of those friends, relatives and loved ones who have died. Whilst picturing their faces, think how busy they were with their worldly jobs, how they struggled to improve their status in society by getting high education and wealth, and how they had dreams for their worldly future. They faced many difficulties and troubles for their worldly businesses. They were busy with just worldly tasks. They lived with the luxuries and comfort of this world. They were living their lives as if they would never die, and were lost in worldly joys and pleasures. Their shrouds had already arrived in the markets, but they were unaware and were lost in the worldly matters. In this unawareness, they were suddenly captured by death and were put into the grave. Their parents were overcome by grief. Their widows had nobody to support them. Their children were left crying. Their dreams were shattered. Their long hopes were dashed, and all their worldly tasks were left unfinished. Sometimes we get this worldly thing going on. And when it's time for salah, we still continue with our jobs. We just continue doing it. It's never ending until you reach your grave. The worldly efforts have gone to waste. Their relatives have forgotten all about them. After having imagination in this way, start imagining their miserable state in the grave, that one their bones would be left. Their faces may have deformed. Whenever they would smile, it would seem as if the flowers was blooming. But now their teeth may have rotten and fallen out, and their mouth will be full of pus, blood. Their big beautiful eyes may have burst and oozed out, and would be all over their cheeks. Their silk hair may have fallen out. Insects will be crawling in their delicate noses. Those little innocent children who would cheer up the depressed person by talking, insects may have stuck to their tongues. The muscular and well-built body of the youngster may have rotten. All the joints may have separated. Having made imagination in this way, now imagine that this all will also happen to me very soon. Very shortly, I will feel the pains of death. My eyes will be looking at the ceiling, and all my loved ones will have gathered around me. My mother will be crying, my beloved, my beloved. My father will be shouting out, my son, my son. Sisters will be screaming, my brother, my brother. Loved ones will be crying and screaming. In this state of grief and sadness, my soul will be taken out of my body. Somebody will step forward and close my eyes and will cover my face with a piece of cloth. The ghusl will be called. He will give me ghusl and then wrap me in a shroud with tears and screams. My funeral will leave the house where I spent all my life, will pick up my body and will head towards the cemetery. I will be laid down into the grave, and my loved ones will put soil on me and with their hands. They will leave me all alone in the grave, and no one will accompany me by sitting at my grave. My body will then begin to rot in the grave. Worms will start to eat it. Will the worms eat my right eye first or my left one? Will they eat my tongue first or my lips? The worms will be squirming by wriggling all over my body freely. They will be going into my nose and ears. Ponder about all this and about the arrival of angels, the questions and the punishment of the grave. By thinking about death in this way, through FaizaneMadina, you will insha'Allah Azza wa Jal begin to prepare yourself for death. You will want to do many good deeds as possible and will stay away from sins. To remember death, listen to one of the audios, Deserted Palace. At least once every month, sitting alone in the dark, insha'Allah, it will be very beneficial for you. My dear Islamic brothers and viewers of social media, our pious saints, rahamallahu ta'ala alayhi, always pondered about death, the grave and the hereafter. They avoided sins and were always ready to do good deeds. They never engrossed themselves in the mortal world, but they cry with the fear of Allah Azza wa Jal. So my dear Islamic brothers, in this short period of time, we've listened about the Akhirah. So it's a Madani request that we start preparing for the Akhirah by involving in the mahol of Dawat Islami, by doing invitation towards good, by inviting Islamic towards the masjid, Islamic brothers towards the masjid, and by reading our salah 5 times daily with Jamaat. MashaAllah, you see father and son, they've come. Fathers gave neki ki dawat to his son. Come on son, let's go to the masjid and pray. This is the preparation of the Akhirah. But what are we doing? We're wasting our time, worldly time. What are we doing? We're spending time on our television. We're spending time on our computers, our mobile phones. The biggest disease in this society nowadays, we're stuck in social media and the Azan is being called. And we'd rather stay on social media. Or it's very important for us. These things will not benefit you in the grave, but they're a distraction to you. It's a test for you. If you avoid the phone when the Azan is called, do you put your phone down and do you go to the masjid? I remember a beautiful video that was released by Dawat-e-Islami, that look at your apps. You got many apps, haven't you? And you open them apps, but look, the first app that always comes to the top is call. When someone calls you. So for example, and he's called Qasim, and he's come out on the phone. It'll come up whatever activities you're doing. Either you're on social media, either you're on whatever you're on, it will pop up the call that Anis is calling you. So look, when the Azan is called, put your phone down and just come to the masjid. May Allah Azza wa Jalla reward you and give you the preparation of the akhirah. If I made any mistakes in my bayan, I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to forgive us. Ameen. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. Qallat hilati anta wasilati adrikni ya Rasulullah. Laqad ja'akum rasulun min anfusikum azizun alayhi ma anittum harisun alaykum bil mu'minina raufur rahim. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, accept our supplications in your court. Today is the day of Friday. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, we've listened to the preparation of the akhirah. Ya Allah, give us a preparation by doing good deeds. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, bless all the Muslims around the globe. Protect us from the pandemic. Ya Allah, give them shifa who are ill. Ya Allah, cure them from all elements. Ya Allah, guide our youngsters towards the masjid. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, give us the teaching of Islam. Give us the ability to spend time for our deen, to learn the religious knowledge and to educate our children. Ya Allah Azza wa Jalla, accept the du'as of the Hazireen Majlis. Ya Allah, give them success in this world and the hereafter. Sallallahu ala nabiyyil ummi wa alihi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Salatan wa salaman alayki ya Rasulullah. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursaleen. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.